Let's make history.
Asked me if the block was still the same. Check this out. You see this manhole cover right here? We used to play stickball. This was home plate. Wow, there's a Mercedes right over there. We used to pitch from right about there to here. Now to hit a home run, you had to hit the ball over this light post down towards the end of the block. What's ill is all these trees that are right here, they weren't there, they hadn't grown. I mean, it's fall now, but I was here a little while ago, like end of summer, beginning of spring, and it was like leaves all over the place. And I realized like how much time it had been since I've been here, because there was no way we could have played. You couldn't hit a home run through these trees.
Stickball is merely a form of baseball. So the history of baseball is also the history of stickball. And baseball goes back to the 1400s, around the time Columbus first came to the Americas, is when this sport sprang up in England, and it was called rounders because you had to round the bases, same like you do in baseball. Down the line, they began to call it baseball at a certain point. Then stickball actually started a couple hundred years later, where all it is basically it's popular in cities because it's for kids, working class, or like poor kids. Baseball, you have to buy a mitt, you gotta buy a bat, you gotta have all this equipment. Whereas stickball, all you need is a broom handle and a ball, and you're ready to go. Usually a manhole cover would serve as home plate, and either a tree or a lamppost or even a building could be considered the foul line. It could be whatever you want. The bases could be wherever you want. There's even forms of stickball where you don't have to run bases. Sometimes stickball is played in the middle of the street. I saw this many times growing up in my neighborhood in Spanish Harlem, and it was out of necessity, basically. So that was around the mid to late 1700s when stickball became a thing in England. Then it made its way to the United States. It was particularly popular in cities in the Northeast, New York City, of course, Philadelphia, and Boston. The legendary Willie Mays was even known to play stickball in the street in his neighborhood with the kids in the neighborhood. The popularity of stickball really kicked off in my neighborhood in the 1930s when my grandmother and my great uncles were kids. One of my uncles, my Uncle Cookie, was actually named after a baseball player because of his skills in stickball. My neighborhood is like the mecca for stickball. There's even a stickball Hall of Fame. And I remember Old Timers Day, which still takes place. It's the second Sunday in July every year. This is right across the street from our building. The side-to-side bands would come out and play. I've seen Tito Puente year after year come and play. The mayor would come speak. But the whole event would start early in the morning with the old timers playing, or as they say now, the OGs, the double OGs, playing stickball right in the middle of the street. They blocked the street off for that particular day, but just standard procedure in New York. Skellies, a lot of things, you just do right there in the street. Again, it's out of necessity, but stickball became a part of American city life. Between the 1930s and the 1950s, especially the 1950s, baseball was a big thing at the time, stickball was a big thing at the time, and other sports didn't start really getting big till the 80s. Then with the advent of video games, kids had other options, so stickball kind of faded out. But it will live on forever, but it's just not as popular as it was because there's so many other options now.
New York City, a town of many neighborhoods, each one rich in its own flavor, its own culture. In Harlem, part of that culture is a game played in the streets.
Stickball is a poor man's game. You don't need a glove. You don't need spikes. All you need is a ball and a bat.
Well, you don't have to go anywhere special to play this particular game. It's right there. We have in Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island, you have the city blocks that you can use. What better field you need? And your audience is your mother, your father, your neighbor, your cousin, drugstore guy, whatever. You know what? Take first.
It's very similar to baseball, but with some different twists. Some fields have just different nuances. Fire escapes, cars in the way, trees. So you learn to use these things to your advantage.
I'm up. Sometimes the ball ricochets. It goes, and before you know it, we're under. We don't know which way to go. In any game, it's not this. The whole thing is your wrist. The wrist is the thing. Watch my wrist. The wrist is the thing.
This is El Barrio, Puerto Rican neighborhood and also Italian neighborhood, because down the way to the east side, you had a lot of Italians here. So therefore, you had all kinds of teams.
I'm 86 years of age, and I've been playing since I was 5. In the 40s and 50s, every block had a stickball team.
We'd go into their block and play. As soon as the game is over, we didn't get out of there, they would kick our butt, more or less, especially after we finished beating them and whatnot.
Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Will Flores TV on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and X.